What I'm going to do tonight is have a little talk about the concept of the fool. The fool in English literature has a long tradition, and it's haunted the Western mindset for quite a number of years, in fact centuries. If you look at a deck of cards, what you'll see is a card called the Joker. Now the Joker is an unusual card in this sense that it is the most powerful card in the deck, okay? The Joker means that you've got the most powerful card, but it seems a paradox, it seems a contradiction, because the Joker it seems like it lampoons or it makes fun of itself, because how can the Joker, how can the fool hold so much power? What is it about this fool, this Joker, this jester, that we grant it the highest status in a deck of cards? Well, this was always the problem for the Western mindset. Historically, madness was seen at one extreme end of the human condition, and logic and rationale took position at the other. So you had madness at one end, logic and rationale at the other. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, prior to human beings' heavy reliance on logic and rationale as a form of truth, madness was seen to be a natural vacillation, a natural movement between one extreme and the other, and obviously the extreme form of madness was an incoherency, and in fact it was seen as a freedom. But the fool sat halfway. The fool was tolerated within the king's court. The fool could say things to the king that other people couldn't say. You know, the king would have his entourage, and people would be very careful about what they said to the king. But the fool would get close to the king, and the fool would say things, you know, and people would, oh gee, I don't like what the fool said, that was a bit dangerous. But the fool could say things, because the fool had something to tell the king, and the king knew it. And that's why he used to tolerate the fool. The story by analogy goes that logic and rationale, the fool entertains madness. The fool also understands logic and rationale. To the fool, both these streams of thinking are what the fool calls discourse, and to him, that's it. The discourses are simply discourses. So, by analogy, the logic and rationale come to the fool and they say, "You're a fool. You entertain madness." And the fool says, "Oh yes, but madness is closer to happiness than it is to logic and rationale." And that's known as the fool's defense.